Hi, everybody. It's Anna. I am the creator and founder of the Queen Sweep, and I am here with one of our amazing Queen Sweepers, Nicola. Hi, Nicola.
Hey everyone.
Thanks so much for being here. You have a lot on your plate. You have not just one, but two little ones, and one is very, very little.
Yeah, 5 months, the littlest.
And so thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule. And hopefully we might even hear little tiny voices in the background playing and doing adorable things. So I appreciate you taking this break and making time for this. And I'm so excited to get to share your Queen Sweep story with the world. So tell us a little bit about what made you even want to sign up for the Queen Sweep in the first place?
Sure. Well, I think I was on your email listserv and enjoyed your missives. And then when you offered that little 10-day mini or whatever it was, that little practice, it felt really great to just give my attention to those little areas. None stand out at the moment, but I just remember thinking, oh, more of this could feel great. And I think I was really drawn in particular to wanting to feel more financially empowered and to getting on top of, I had some stacks of paper and boxes of paper, that the idea of sort of wrangling those into systems that would be working for me better. And then all kinds, even the idea of tools to focus my time and my attention and my energy, with sort of the compass or different things that you sort of referenced, all of that appealed. And then the other thing was, I think I had felt an energy of fun for me. I don't know if that's true for everyone, but for me, it felt like this could just be fun. So I ended up just taking a bit of a leap and going for it.
That's so awesome. It's so awesome. I know when I try to explain to people who don't know me, this program I teach, and it's sort of about cleaning up your house, but not really. It's so fun. And they're like, that's fun. How could that possibly be fun? And I'm like, oh my God, we have so much fun. But it's kind of counterintuitive to a lot of people to think that you could actually have a really good time, working on your paper and your money and all these terrible parts of life.
And it's not that I didn't feel some fear that some parts might bring up uncomfortable feeling or be challenging, especially the ones that felt like they were already a little bit tough. But somehow the idea of shifting from feeling kind of like those are a challenge area to something almost like that I've sort of taken control of, or feel more empowered in my relationship with those. That is fun to me. That does feel good.
Yeah,
so even if it's hard, there's a fun in that for me.
And how have those areas of your life, how are you doing now with paper and money? Do you feel more powerful, or do you still have all those boxes of paper? It's okay if you do.
No, I would say some of the things that felt like real, personal successes for me that I took away from the experience would have included, to be honest, so let's start with paper.
Okay.
I've had some boxes and stacks of sort of files that weren't really filed. And I think many of those had traveled with me across 3 different moves, but I wasn't ready to let them go, but I also wasn't ready to change how they were. And no, that was a huge win. So those have shifted into, I was able to let go of a lot, which was really useful and kind of an interesting emotional psychic process. Yeah, it felt great. And then I created an amazing filing system, both a sort of more personal set of files and a professionally related, client related set of files. And then, and organized.
I'm like, oh my gosh, that's so huge. You took boxes of paper and turned them into a filed system.
And then I played with your system of sort of, the inbox and action and pending system. And I feel like I'm still tweaking that to make it really, that stuff still doesn't end up just kind of sitting in there. It still feels like I'm tweaking what will or won't work for me. But for sure, oh man, very satisfying. Thank you.
Oh, that's so exciting. That's so awesome.
Yeah, for sure. Paper. And then I loved playing with, I already had a pretty, I'm by nature fairly minimalist and pretty organized with my space. But in these early parenting years where, holy moly, in a heartbeat all the time, it's just visual chaos very quickly, more than just anything. Some of the tools that the Queen Sweep gave me, just like brief, sort of short, manageable daily practices, just did help bring a little more order and beauty. And I'm not always perfect with it. It's not like I keep it every day.
Me neither, sister. I mean,
but it was still super inspiring. And also a good reminder sometimes. I think I'm a person who does things really intensely to kind of practice. Not everything has to be done deeply. Sometimes a quick, brief, focused choice of sort of where to put some cleanup action or some attention in the house is powerful and has a real effect. So that was a good reminder to almost sort of not all or nothing, but smaller scale practices. So that was helpful. But then I would say the other one that was really huge for me was the daily compass, which I know you'll get into more detail for people who end up taking the course, but it's a tool basically that you invite us to really take a look at how do we set our priorities on a daily basis, or for some it might work to do on a weekly basis. And you can sort of further scale back and keep the big picture perspective on what's important. So for me, there was a way though that it really helped me become more organized and intentional on a daily basis. And it made a big difference. And especially as someone who is self-employed and parenting, where I'm not getting someone else who's really laying out the parameters and the goals. And so for me, where it's also self-directed, it was really useful to make sure I'm sort of tracking and being able to come back to it and sort of cultivating focus in my life. And also a feeling of lots of small wins to really follow through, rather than kind of, yes, I do a lot with my day, but somehow it ends up feeling all amorphous and a little unsatisfying. It was useful. And I'm still working on that as well.
Because it's so true. Like when you've got work and kids and when you're the one who has to drive all of it all, it's not like you have really clear directives from a boss. You know, like I felt like there were so many days where I would work and work and work and work and work. And at the end of the day, I would have crossed nothing off of my to-do list. And it was so demoralizing and exhausting.
It is. So no, that was huge. And I'd never used a tool like that, but I'd always felt like I'd heard other models of like choose your top 3 things or even simplified versions, but it felt good, like, and to have the course and the community to really help me actually follow through and practice with it. And even though at this moment of parenting too, my days feel a little more reactive and I'm not having childcare to do quite as much fully self-directed paid work, it still feels for sure like something that's going to be a keeper and a real gift. The other thing, I mean, there's so many things I got from it, which aren't huge. And if someone looked from the outside, they might not see it all, but it makes a real difference. And I know it from the inside. So one other example would be creating all these simplified lists that help reduce the constant decision-making that gets exhausting and kind of wastes my brain energy. So lists like, what do I need to be able to get out the door on a daycare day? What do I need on a day when I'm the one with both kids? And so instead of going, oh shoot, I forgot this part of the diaper bag. It sounds silly, but having lists and a big menu list and thinking about things has been super useful.
Awesome. Yeah, I use checklists for so many things. And I'm sometimes embarrassed when people come to my house and they see them, like a list on the fridge of like something that seems so easy, like what goes in the kids' backpacks, or so, I don't even, they do their own backpacks, but like, what are we having for dinner this week? But it helps. It's like just one more thing that I don't have to remember to remember. You know what I mean?
Oh, it's huge. I actually think it's huge. And I'm not trying to, I know maybe you wanted this to be succinct, but there is so many things I got.
I don't know. I'd love to hear all your thoughts. Okay, all of them.
So another one is, oh man, like, I don't know, but if people are thinking about taking the course and they have some areas that are just like, again, it may seem small, but it's like a daily friction that's so annoying and kind of sucking your life energy. So for me, one of those was, I have a partner and just the domestic sharing of tasks, and in particular, like because I am naturally a list taker, I would always like to keep track and write on our fridge, like groceries that needed to be bought. And he tends to mostly do the grocery shopping. He's more of a spontaneous. He wouldn't rip it off, take the list. And so I feel like my efforts are wasted and this is not efficient. And he feel like, oh, whatever, and text me, but I hated texting. Anyway, so again, I'm not trying to give away all the gems that are going to come, but you had shared that for you had an app, a program called AnyList.
AnyList.
That people can sync, especially if you are having a shared team effort, where you can sync all different kinds of lists. And it's been like, it's just like, thank you that I don't have to waste energy writing stuff and then feeling that it just doesn't even go to any use. And so now, you know, he can just take his phone, he looks, all the groceries get purchased. It's just silly, or it's not silly. It's just like one hassle that's just done. It's just gone now. And I wouldn't have even known that was something that would come, like all the little resources or tools. And that was a really helpful one. But I found with the course, either you would sometimes share really specific tools, but also being in the Facebook group and receiving the benefits of a community, it was also awesome the way people would share with one another or brainstorm together when they've got a shared or a similar challenge. And that was an example of one that, like, oh, thank God. It's just, it really helps. And so those are the things that jump into mind right away. And the other thing, when we did deep sweeps, which are a part of the program, you know, where we're doing those sort of protected time and space to really dig into something. And for me, I was working on, I was already pregnant when I took the course. And so there was a room that was like our perpetual dumping grounds that had meant to be the baby room, but our firstborn was still sleeping, co-sleeping with us. That just didn't go. I thought that was going to go. And the room truly was, it was full crap and doing nothing. And so I really used those parts of the program to make progress. And it didn't get completed during it, but it really came a long way. And I was quite clear on how that needed to move. And that was super helpful. And I guess this is the point where I might also mention that then after doing the 9-week course, I did choose to become part of the lifelong membership opportunity to just keep going. And so it didn't feel done. Like it felt like, yay, I get to take this foundation and not kind of then let it fritter away or get lost. But meanwhile, it's more like I can just keep chipping away. So those rooms, that is a beautiful room now. Like that's.
Yes, it is. I've seen photos. It is so beautiful. It is just this like peaceful, grounded, beautiful, like mellow space.
Yeah.
Oh, it's
that's
amazing.
A huge difference. And I mean, probably it would have gotten there eventually. But one thing about doing the Queen Sweep is you get that feeling of not doing it alone, and super satisfying to I appreciate that. I'm a person, I like that energy of teamwork, and I don't mind this going out into the world. I mean, my partner and I have very different styles of how we organize physical space. And so for me, that's a really satisfying thing. It's not as meaningful to him. He doesn't care about that as much. But I have a community of people who are working on their own areas and their own things, but to really celebrate with you, that's really a gift to me. Like, that's fine. I'm not judging my partner, but it's real. He honestly doesn't care as much. And that can feel a little deflating.
Right? Because you work all day on this and you conquer this, you climb this mountain. And it's like, well, who are you going to show? You're not going to tell the whole, like, Facebook, your whole public community, like, hey guys, I cleaned out my pantry. I feel weird, right? But then you do it in the Queen Sweep and everyone is like losing their minds and they're like celebrating and dancing and little emojis all over the place. And like, it feels so good.
It is. And I think because the Queen Sweep is helping you address, if you choose, many different aspects. Like, I think people could do it, and even if they only focused on a few areas, that might be what they take away. But because it's sort of a little bit magical and a little bit mysterious, how it's like a little bit of many aspects of life and how those all kind of mingle together, I think for someone who's not in it, again, each little thing in itself may not seem like a big deal. And yet there is this, I'm not thinking of quite the right word, but the way it all sort of catalyzes and kind of comes together. And again, so it's
There's,
really,
there's like a tipping point, or like yeah.
I think so. So that part, and to have other people who are playing with that as well, and the people who can recognize it's each little step, and each unto itself may not be a huge deal, but with the Queen
Mhm.
Sweepers, everyone really is cheering each other on,
Yeah.
recognizing it is each little one that will help get to that kind of
Hmm.
tipping point.
Hmm.
And
Totally.
the Queen Sweep lifelong is what gives me faith that like I will keep building that momentum. And so for me, I would say the one area that didn't quite get the momentum or the shift that I'd hoped is
Hmm.
finances. And I'm not beating
Hmm.
myself up about that.
Hmm.
And I am so excited. I have a pretty clear idea of ways, like things I did take from Queen Sweep,
Hmm.
including a particular budgeting tool that you often rave about called
Hmm.
YNAB. You need a
Hmm.
budget. And I know we'll get there. We
Yeah.
will get there. But I also feel like appreciating how much has been done, and especially for me as a really active parent, and knowing these years are very precious, and so that will come. It didn't have
Hmm.
to all happen at once. And with the lifelong, I'm like, it's great when I'm ready for
We've
that.
got you covered,
Yeah,
right? Like this year, this fall, next, like whatever, whenever you are ready. And we always use this image of this cycle and the spiral. Like whenever you're ready to hit that spot on the spiral, you will. We've all got your back. So yeah.
I really feel that. So I'm excited for that. I know it will come. And I guess on that note, that reminds me of one other real takeaway or gift, which is and it's not brand new, but like the idea of those mind purges, or really, especially when there
Mm.
is lots going on and um, lots to do and give my attention and care to, periodically doing that kind of clear out, a mental clear out, and really getting stuff down on paper and
Mhm.
organizing has been really helpful.
Mm.
And the other thing that I've noticed, this could be another whole conversation, but it's been neat to notice, even not always translating it directly into a daily compass or a weekly goal, I
Mhm.
feel like there's something magical about just getting it onto paper, because I notice some
Me
things
too.
I'll go back later and be like, I wasn't even paying attention to check it each time, but it's all happening.
Yeah.
But I swear there was something important about getting it out there.
Yeah.
You've noticed that too?
Absolutely. This is a lot of the times I'll be like, okay, guys, here's what we're going to do. I know it works. I don't really know why. I can't explain it to you, but I promise it's going to blow your mind. And
Almost seems like, oh, it almost happened more easily, not like everything was efforted and left brain nailed down strategically. It's sort of like, oh, that is so cool. I wrote that a year ago, and here we go. This one now just seems to have almost, it happened
mm.
organically in its own way. So some of them, it's a little bit more deliberate, and that can be
Mhm.
helpful. But I'm really grateful, and now I've even got a very organized little to-do lists, and it's all happening. So
That's
I'm
so
really excited.
awesome. It is funny, right? How it's like there is this sort of, I don't know if symbiosis is not the right word, but it does seem like you touch on these different areas of your life, but then it's almost like they start to kind of swirl, and like things that you've done in one part of your life make something else in a totally seemingly unrelated part of your life easier. And like I don't know. I can't honestly fully explain the magic of the Queen Sweep, but I know it is freaking powerful.
Yeah, that makes me think of a quote by Julia Cameron, like a
Uh-huh.
well-known artist, and she said this idea of like your job. Kind of like sometimes we shake the apple tree and we get oranges instead, and this isn't exactly what you're getting at, but the idea that like somehow there's something about like the Queen Sweep to me is like shaking the tree. We're doing our part, and maybe
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't always come exactly as we'd hoped or line up or how the timing,
Mm-hmm.
but there is something about practicing these tools and trying them that will yield fruit. That's my
It's like
experience.
it sets something in motion. It's
Yeah.
really fascinating. And people will sometimes be like, I did the Queen Save 5 years ago, and now I'm in a totally different career. And it's like, well, they seem to be unrelated. And I can't even necessarily like show a direct correlation, but I mean, they're the ones who come to tell me like, oh my God, I can't really quite explain how, but here I am down the road and I can see that all these things shifted.
Yeah.
And some of it's very tangible. It's lists and compasses and tools and systems. And then it's almost like there is this like energy that we set in motion that's slightly more mysterious.
Oh, exactly. I think so. I think so. And I feel like it's only been a year since I did my first intensive, and then I've done another round, but it was a
Mm-hmm.
little bit less intensive just with where I was at with pregnancy and
Mm-hmm.
expecting a child. But I'm excited to be like, yeah, there are still many years ahead. And as I layer more in, I am curious and excited as to how it will continue to sort of shape and influence my life.
Yeah,
So
I can't wait to see what unfolds. Oh, I'm so excited for you. So just
that's
real quick, what would you say? So I know a lot of like you are right in the thick of that parenting. And I know for a lot of people, they feel like, well, I can't possibly stop and organize my life right now because my kids will just trash it. And I don't even know if I'll have time to come to the calls or read the brooms or listen to them. Like, what would you say to someone who's feeling like I don't even know that I have time to do this whole queen sweeping thing?
yeah, I think that's a great question. And I definitely grappled with that before deciding to give it a try.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of thinking, oh, should I wait and do it once the kids are 5, but then I was like, no, like I want to give it a go. And so what I would say to someone in that position is a few things. One, I really think there's a lot to gain, and you shape the course in such a way that if you can give it 5 hours a week, woohoo, like you're going to get 5
Great.
hours
Yeah.
of returns. And I believe
Mm-hmm.
that. But if you only have an hour max, if you're like, I can read the broom and I'll be able to do just, the bare minimum of some of the suggested invitations, and that's honestly it. And then I can try to carve out, 5 minutes a day for a new little tool.
Mm-hmm.
I would just encourage those people, go for it. You will get fruit from that.
Mm-hmm.
And the other beauty is you shape it right. So first of all, it's really non-judgmental. So there's no pressure. It's just our own
Yeah.
aspirations and goals and intentions. So I sort of feel like there's no pressure, like you've got to do every single thing, or you get wet noodled. It's not like that. It's no support. So that's one part. And the other thing is, because you get to keep the resources,
Yeah.
it's not like that's it and then it all shuts down after 9 weeks and things wrap up. For some of us, we'll decide to continue on. That's
Mm-hmm.
great and provides opportunities. But even if you don't,
Mm-hmm.
you can revisit those. Or if one week life exploded and you couldn't even do anything, well, heck, go back later if you're inspired and explore it and try it. And you can even, I'm sure for many people, they might find a buddy. So I just feel like these are invitations that you can keep exploring ongoing.
Mm-hmm.
And I really would recommend it to people, even if they felt they only could sort of do the quote unquote bare minimum. I think
Mm-hmm.
they'd still find it useful. Absolutely.
Awesome. Who would you think that this would be most useful? Oh, go ahead.
Plus, the people who are in that stage of life, or one of those quite chaotic or quite
Mm-hmm.
intense, may paradoxically also experience a real benefit of receiving a supportive community and being in a place where really small wins will be celebrated as much as the really big gains. So I just would want to point out that sort of psychic, emotional, not doing it alone support can also be huge, especially not waiting until this fantasy of a time when things are all
Right.
expensive.
Yeah, that's such a good point. I never thought about it. It's true. Right in the moments when you feel like, oh my gosh, I can't possibly take on one more thing is maybe exactly when this might be most helpful. You said something really interesting to me one time, though. You said, you always talk about how the Queen Sweep is for people who feel really overwhelmed and life is chaotic. And you said, but you didn't necessarily feel that way. So
Yeah.
you had this really interesting insight that I'm hoping you'll share with everybody that the Queen Sweep is useful not just to people who are very like me personally. I am all right brain. I'm very creative. I'm totally ADD. I can't keep a thought in my head for 30 seconds. Like, it's very clear to me how this program would be useful to someone like me. But you were like, but wait, it's also useful to all these other people too. Would you speak to that?
For sure. And I actually think I remember reaching out to you before deciding to take it on, because I was like, I don't want to, if this is the wrong program for me, I don't want
Right.
to dive in and put that investment in. And I think you were great at putting those questions to rest. But now that I'm on the other side of it, yeah, and just to be clear, so yeah, like I got, I think, a strong left and right brain, and I'm pretty organized and on the ball. It's not like life was just this chaotic
Yeah.
mess, or even my physical space. It was pretty tidy and
Mm-hmm.
organized, albeit parenting a little bit thrown off course. But I guess it's that feeling that for me, as I say, there really were some key areas around finances, focusing my time and energy, ways I wanted to tweak systems. And it was still super rewarding and super helpful. So I guess it's like, yeah, for some people, some areas may feel like we're starting at 0 and our progress is
Mm-hmm.
getting to 25, not necessarily 0 to 100.
Mm-hmm.
But I just felt like I guess there's always room to grow and evolve. And that was absolutely true. Like I really,
Mm-hmm.
I think I tried to name a big laundry list of things I took from it and ways that it's enriched my life. So for anyone out there who's thinking, oh heck, like I'm already fairly organized, but if you feel called and you sense that there are a few or multiple areas that are still could really use some growth or support, like, or those boxes of papers, that's interesting. Even though I was super organized, for some reason these boxes just had stuck around and weren't
Mm-hmm.
moving. So I still feel like I took a lot. And even in some instances, you may have, like, I feel like you've got a gift of kind of bringing in lots of different ideas, and you're pretty transparent about, like, here's a resource where I got this idea. And kind
Yeah,
of,
I try never to steal people's stuff, but I'm like, go read this, go listen to this. I got this idea. And then if you put it together with this other idea,
was
I'm a
magic.
fact finder.
Yeah. And so for me, it's not like all of it was new, but
Mm-hmm.
somehow with the ingredients of a supportive community and enough structure to kind of make it all feel manageable, it's like some of it just enabled me to take an idea that had been kicking around or I'd been introduced to, but actually put it into motion. And so maybe there are others who are like me where, yeah, they're already fairly organized, or some of these things, quote unquote, already seem to come naturally. But
Mm-hmm.
I would think it's a bit rare that anyone has all of these areas. I mean, maybe, and all power to you. And you know what? Maybe you don't need the course, but I think most of us have at least a few that could use some evolving, and that was absolutely true for me. So yeah, I think it can be a good fit for people of all different kinds of temperaments and levels of interest and what it might do for them. That's kind of neat. And if I watch the interviews just for fun, the cool part is I bet it gives very different things in some ways for different people.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. There are a few like common threads, and then everyone else's experience is sort of all over the place. So it's been so much fun doing these interviews. Oh my gosh, I love them. Thank
Yeah.
you for letting me interview you. Oh
Oh,
my
sure.
word. Well, I know you need to get back to your kids, and I can hear mine
Oh, it's
ruckusing
okay. It's okay.
behind the door. Oh, any last final thoughts that you want to say, or anything else you want to that you didn't get a chance to share?
I would come back to, for all the like efficiency things and the ways that life feels a little easier and a little smoother and empowered.
Mm-hmm.
But I would just come back to the word fun. Honestly, it was a lot of fun. And I really appreciated the community. And so I would encourage for people to, that would be my wish, that they might take as much joy and fun in it as I did. It was a real
Mm-hmm.
pleasure.
Yay! Yay,
Yeah.
yay, yay. Well, we will be queen sweeping again this autumn. So we'll have some more fun together. Maybe we'll tackle the money stuff this time.
It's true. I've got my sort of fall goals and that's on there. And I sort of thought, yeah, that might be, even if I just move the dial a little, again, back
Yeah.
to the not all or nothing, that would feel
Yeah.
really, I look forward
From
to.
like a 32 to a 37 would be great.
Exactly. And you never know, sometimes when you make it so small, that paradox of like, it's just getting the momentum going. And then sometimes it might get to a 50 to my own surprise, so to speak. So
Sometimes starting is 90% of the battle.
yeah.
So, yeah.
So I look
Oh
forward
my gosh. Well, thank you so much for sharing your story with us. I'm so happy to have you as a part of our lifelong community, and yay, Queen Sweeper. Thank you.
No, I'm excited for everyone who may choose to jump on board and try it for the first time.
Yeah, it's going to be so much fun.
Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you so much.